And then we're live. There it is. Got it, YouTube. What's up, Hales Teach? Ouch. I got stung by a bee 2 times yesterday by the same bee. And now I just keep saying ouch all day. I'm going to give it a minute for everyone to kind of like jump in here and stuff because it's Sunday. And I realize that people are like getting ready to go back to school and stuff. It's been a busy day so far. My collar's all messed up. I was writing all day and I get very sweaty when I write because it's like, you know, I don't know. I don't know if it's anxiety or excitement or just the fact that my arms are pressed against my body so hard for so long. Telling everyone how sweaty I get when I write. What do I want to say? There's the hair. The hair is, it's in some fashion. It's so hot, it just melts. Like it won't stay together at this point in the year. So we have, we're turning this into a podcast. So each week for those of you that are in here on the front end, I'm going to do an intro to just sort of like have the consistency of this at every podcast. But, you know, so feel like you're behind the scenes right now because I'm going to say that in a second and I'm excited about it. And I'm also pumped because I think I'm going to finish the book today. And if I don't, it will be finished tomorrow morning. You're making faces over there. It is like, so I finished that last part yesterday. I have to literally just look over the last chapter and that's it. Right. And then I can send it to the editor. Woo-hoo. It is an exciting feeling. And it is a feeling of like unloading this weight off my shoulders, which is really exciting too. So here we go. I'm going to do my introduction for the podcast. And then if you listen to this on the podcast later, if you don't catch the whole thing or whatever, it'll be on there. So ready? 3, 2, no. I don't know how to introduce this. We'll just say, welcome to Real Rap with Reynolds Teacher Talk. So on Sunday nights, we do this teacher talk where we provide teachers, people in education, students the opportunity to ask questions, and not just to me, but to all the folks in the comment section as well. So if you're listening to this as part of the podcast, you can check this out every Sunday night, 5 p.m. Eastern time. And not only I will be able to help you, but Tracy Pinter and Hales Teach and Unicorns Rock, and even Turtle will be in there as well to be able to help you. And in any number of other folks that show up and just do, you know, stuff in the comment section that I'm not even sure is happening all the time. They're just trying to help people out and just try and make your week as a teacher, your career as a teacher, a better experience. If this isn't enough for you, then you can go to our Facebook group, Real Rap with Reynolds Teacher Talk on Facebook. It's a closed Facebook group. It's only for educators. You can ask your question there if you need a bit more privacy, or you can sign up for mentoring. I do mentoring for teachers, and all you have to do is email me and find out about rates and availability for that. Or if that's not enough, I'll come speak at your school. We're a full service industry here at Real Rap with Reynolds. Industries, that said industry 2 times. So anyway, that's my intro. We're going to jump into questions. If anybody is wondering anything, then you can just type it into the comment section or into the chat there. I'll answer any question. Nothing's off the table. And you know what else is not off the table? There's this giant thing next to me that's still existing on my table. And not only that, I'm going to take you real behind the scenes. They started building forts out of cardboard and foam core board. And my life is being taken over by cardboard.
This is what happens when you don't have children on technology.
No, yeah, it looks like...
And it's 100 degrees outside.
It is. It's 105 degrees outside. It looks like... It's starting to look like... where did Peter Pan live? Neverland. That's what I feel like. It looks like cost-effective budget Neverland. I'm waiting for Rufio to swing through the room or something like that.
Something from nothing, Neverland.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
So let's jump in, wife. Kathy Toner, how are you? I just saw that you are happy that you were able to make it on time, and I'm excited that you're able to be here as well. Megan Paget, that's the first one. So Megan's asking, how in the heck do you prepare for student teaching? I'll be one of... trying to hold this still while it goes. I will be in one class the whole year. The whole year. Wow.
How long is student teaching
It's
generally?
usually like one semester of college. So it's like September to like right before winter break or something like that, or the latter end of the year. I'll be in one class the whole year. Haven't been placed yet though, and I'm a bit nervous. Just turned 22 and I was told I will be in high school. So Megan, I'm going to tell you, I can give you an answer to this, but I did make a really, not to pat myself on the back, but I made a video with the Lettered Classroom about all of this stuff. So if you go onto my YouTube channel and at the top in the search bar, just type in Lettered Classroom, Bridget and I like go through like education process in college, go through student teaching, go through practicums, go through how to get a job, go through how to act in your first year of your job. All that stuff is there and it is available for you. So feel free to check that out. I would say more than anything is just know that like there's nothing you can do necessarily I don't know that there's a whole lot you can do to take the nervousness away, right? So there are things I do in my life to try and minimize anxiety on any number of things, which look like I like to meditate. I just heard a whole podcast on this the other day, but like meditate and imagine myself in the situation. You're walking into the door. You have your stuff in your hand. You're writing on the board. You're teaching your lesson. Like, what does that all look like? And so what you're trying to do is create a sense of like you're living through it before you live through it. And I do this with projects all the time where like when I started writing my book, I started like thinking about like what would it look like when I'm actually writing my book? What would it look like when I handed the book in? When I started running every day for a year this year, I started thinking about like on December 10th of next year, I will have run 365 days of this year, 365 days in a row. And like, what would that feel like? What's that day going to be like? And so I just think there's a lot of power in living through it ahead of time. My biggest piece of advice would be to ask for help and to make yourself visible to all the students. And this is something I say all the time. Be at the front door when they're coming in, be at the door when they're leaving, be in the hallway in between classes as much as possible. And that FaceTime is really going to make you someone that is seen, make you someone that the kids can potentially trust because you're not like like a unicorn. You're just like someone that's a part of the school community. And you'll see that actually works and helps a lot in that situation. I got string from glue gun all over my hand. Zara, I think I'm saying that right. I'm going to go with Zara. Zara J is asking, what are the pros and cons of an all-boys high school? Would you recommend parents put their kids into a single-sex school? That's a great question. So for those of you that don't know, I teach in an all-boys school. I used to teach in a co-ed school in Camden, New Jersey. Now I'm in West Philly teaching an all-boys school. I think it works well for some kids, right? Like, so the idea behind my school was young, like African-American males have the lowest graduation rate in the country. And so what would it look like if there was a school? What is the dog eating? I'm sorry. Dog, what are you eating? Are you being good?
There's nothing but cardboard.
All right, I don't know what he's eating over there, though. What would it look like if a school was created that mimicked a private school education, but was free for anyone that wanted to go? There's an application to get into our school, but there's no like, we don't get to like pick who we want and who we don't want to go to school. It's a lottery. Name essentially goes in a hat, principal pulls it out, bam, you won a chance to go to the school. So what would that look like? And I have to say, like we do a lot of stuff that's, we could do better, right? But we do a lot of stuff that is beyond the right way to do it, I think. Like the teachers that like essentially, for the most part, like work as a community of educators. We are given autonomy in the classroom. We are stripped of having to do nonsense like lesson plans. Like we don't do lesson plans. So like some of those are part of why our school is so great. But for the boys will tell you that girls are a distraction. And that's why I had to go to the school as if like girls are like, no, get out of here. All you do is distract boys all day. But in reality, I think what it does is not have you distracted by girls, but it helps to build a sense of brotherhood. It helps I find that our students talk more and share more in class when they are just amongst a single sex community, right? And so not to say that co-ed's wrong or whatever, but there's some kind of magic that comes along with just being all boys. Now, look, nobody likes it the first year, but I would say the majority of our students, by the time that they graduate, know and see and feel in their hearts the brotherhood that comes as being a part of our school. So I think it depends on the student, whether that's something they need or don't need. And I think there's the downfall of that is that in my school anyway, there's a lot of like toxic, like male energy. And that is something that we are constantly like working through, right? And then the wild part about that is as soon as someone graduates and you feel like you got somewhere, like it just starts all over again with the freshmen. So it's like this wheel of toxic masculinity being upended. But I will say that the school's administration and stuff like have done a really good job in implementing like services and stuff to help with that sort of situation. Hey, it's hot for teaching. How do you deal with irate parents or that believe their child is over you and they claim you're picking on their child?
Yeah, they believe their child over you.
So I that's a great question. I've had any number of parents come in years, and I had a girl one time that she was Muslim and she wore a khimar over her head or on her head, and like she was constantly getting in trouble in class, and the fact that she's Muslim is going to come up for a reason in a second. She was her and a boy in class liked one another, and they were constantly like just doing dumb like high school lovey stuff, like passing notes or being cute with one another or trying to make each other laugh or like getting off task. And like it was a distraction in the class on a level that needed to be addressed like every day. And so at some point she got in trouble for something, and she told the administration that I was acting this way towards her, that I was calling her out on her stuff because she was Muslim and because of the way that she dressed and this sort of thing. And so I went into this meeting and all of the administration was there, and her mom came in and the girl was there, and it was like now, and I had no idea. They go, "Oh, Reynolds, would you come down to the office?" And so I walked down to the office. "Hey, what's up, everyone?" "So this girl says that you're singling her up because she's Muslim and this stuff." And it was like such a punch to the face, because I mean, like, I don't need anyone else to believe this about me, but I know about myself is that is never the truth. Like, I am at the school that I'm at for a reason, trying to care for kids in any way that I can, but also knowing when to call kids on their stuff. And this mom was flaming angry with me. And so the conversation I had with her was, look, whether you believe it or not, like, I care more for your child than you could ever imagine, right? Like, all I want is for them to reach their potential, their hopes, and their dreams. Now, what I'm not willing to do is suffer fools in my class. And so to do that, I suffocate nonsense at the drop of a hat. And when I do that, it is because this is the situation in my class. These are the types of things that I'm seeing. And this is how I'm trying to move the needle in a direction that's more positive. Look, if your kid likes some other kid, that's none of my business. I don't really even care about that. And the dude was even a nice guy, so I especially didn't care. It wasn't like she was wrapped up with the wrong dude. But like, what I wanted to explain to that parent was that, like, look, if you want to believe me, you can call me whenever you want. I can even communicate with you how the day went, or we can report home or have that conversation. But what I want to do when parents come in and they're angry, and I won in that situation, in the sense that, like, that mom left feeling cared for, feeling heard, and feeling like something shifted, right? That it wasn't this horrific incident that she thought she was going to come into with like some kind of racist teacher or something. But instead, I want folks to leave. I want parents to leave meetings with me knowing that I care about their kid. Now, sometimes I can do that, and sometimes I can't. I've had parents that have walked out of the room on me, screaming about me as they walk down the hallway, all kinds of madness. And that is more to me about them than it is about me. All I can do is try and help people as much as I can. But at the end of the day, it's like, I can't make their mind up for them. And, you know, I will say for teaching, like, over time, I've had parents that were initially very angry with me or disgusted with my behavior, or because they believe their kid. They believe that like what I was doing was like trying to do something wrong or mean or whatever to their kid. And over time, they've seen like how my relationships with my other students have gone, that there's kind of like no proof that I would have ever been that way because of how I get down in school, the way that I get down. And so but that's an overtime thing. And sometimes it's just a waiting game, but I hear you. That stuff bothers me deeply, and probably because I really care what people think about me, which is a good and bad thing in this life. And in that case, it's not a good thing, because then I just want to come home, drink a whole bottle of wine, and go to bed for the weekend because you feel like crap. Long answer, short question. That's what this show could be called. Short question, long answer. With your host, CJ Reynolds. Rich Warner is saying, started my first teaching job, 4th grade. By the way, when can we pre-order your book? Rich, I will let you pre-order the book as soon as it's ready, because right now it's just on pieces of paper and Google Documents. And so I can't really sell it under the table. But I did talk with the guy that's going to do, I'm hoping, my cover art. Oh, that was a sticker that just fell off this tradition. The guy that's going to do the cover art is if this dude does it, he is one of my favorite street artists in Philadelphia. And I'm trying to I should get everyone to like
That's
go
what
over.
I was just thinking.
So maybe we should do that. Maybe we'll do like a test here and see how it works. On social media, on Instagram, there's a guy that goes by Cultures and Clothing. Culture and Clothing, Cultures and Clothing.
Let me go with that. No,
and I asked him to do the book. He was like, I'm really busy right now. I'm gonna try and fit it in, but like, let's talk about it. Cultures Clothing. So this is what his thing is. I'm gonna ask you to do this, right? Could you go on there and DM him, right? Go to the top and like send him a message thing, and send him a message saying, Reynolds was talking about like trying to get you to do the cover of his book, and that would be awesome if we did this, because his art is so good. And my vision is like
he's
a
from
picture.
Philadelphia.
Yeah, he's from Philly.
Oh,
and so like a picture of me with my students in the style that he does it, and that would be the thing. So yeah, I'll let you know like once the title is 100% like at the publisher, and like the publisher signs off on the title and all that stuff, I'll share all that stuff with you and keep you along for the ride. People
were asking the title also in the beginning of the chat.
There's a few different titles we're playing with now, but it really comes down to like, I think the publisher has some say in that. And it's me trying to like figure out the right, like what I want to call it. So there's like some funny tongue in cheek stuff. There's some like kind of badass stuff. There's some like risque stuff. I'm not really sure yet.
And there's some like more typical.
And then there's just classic stupid ass Reynolds stuff in there. So we'll see. I'll let you know once I know it. This isn't a question, wife.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
What in the world are you doing over there? Are you hullabalooing?
Nope, I got one.
Radical. Hannah Goss is asking, first of all, I just want to say thank you for making your videos. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I've learned a lot. And however, do you have any suggestions on channels of introverted teachers, not goofy, eccentric teachers? What are you trying to say there, girl? Like that I'm a goofy, eccentric teacher? I think who's a good
Well, the lettered classroom and Pocketful of Primary both, I think, would classify themselves
100%
more introvert.
So lettered and primary. I think there's more people on Instagram, I feel like, than YouTube. Like Miss Tanner is a really good example of that.
There's not many YouTubers. I feel like it's, to me, because it's so uncomfortable to record yourself, you have to have some level of I
think you're right.
Extrovertedness.
Bond with James might be a good, he seems like kind of a quiet soul.
Yeah.
But most of us are like, look at me, I'm on the internet. It's like it's kind
of an interesting thing.
Yeah. It's a bunch of narcissists making YouTube videos about themselves.
To remember, the biggest thing that you said is, oh shoot, now I forget. Never mind.
Sorry.
Brain part.
Yeah. So those are my top choices. I'd say lettered classroom, Pocketful of Primary, Bond with James, and I think there's more folks on Instagram than than here, because Instagram is just about pictures and not so much recording yourself and putting yourself out there to the world. If anybody else has an answer to that on the side, that would be awesome. Like you could leave that for her as well. Jess Askew is asking, Wednesday is my first day of my first year teaching. First of all, Jess, what are you doing teaching in July? All right, it is summertime. Second of all, this is really exciting. And I just want to say, before I even read your question, to breathe it in, even if you hate it, even not the school day, but like, even if you hate recording yourself, I would suggest doing some kind of video in your classroom on the first day. It could just be like, what does your classroom look like? And you having, like, what are you excited about? And then at the end of the day, what was your experience like? I wish more than anything, I had a video of my first day of teaching, anything for my first year of teaching. And I think I have like 2 pictures or something like that. It's just like, wasn't something I did.
Or too tired.
But just breathe that in, because it's only ever going to happen one time. I'm so freaking nervous. The students don't start until the middle of August. What should I prioritize when I go in? Okay, so you're not starting with students yet. You're just going in and getting things under wraps. I would say, remember that there is always unfinished business in education. That don't go in thinking like you have to get everything done, that everything comes down to the wire, that you have like so little time, and that you like just as much as possible, calm yourself and know that at the beginning of the year, you will not be 100% ready. I've been teaching, this will be my 15th year. I'm never 100% ready. And I have half my stuff made already. I just like, I don't know, I make more work for myself as the year goes on, I guess. But just be mindful of that. I would say then try and immediately identify teachers, like look around the room, try and feel people out and see who's going to be like your cohort for the year. Like who can you connect with? Who can you try and get in with, or just put yourself in their vicinity, because that's going to really help you out as the year goes on. And then I would say, just feel good about your classroom. Like, what does it look like? It doesn't have to be Pinterest perfect, but is it organized enough to start? Is it clean and neat and organized? Is it, and what does your first kind of week look like? I have a series of events that I do every first week of school. I never ever have to plan for those first like week or 2, because it's all like already ready. But think of like of that, and then I wouldn't plan, like you can plan further, but like see what you're going to teach and how you're going to teach, and the way you're going to teach is going to really be based on the kind of students that walk into your classroom. Are they particularly quiet? Are they particularly anxious? Are they particularly loud? Do you have a lot of like special education students? Do you have a co-teacher? Like all these things are going to be ingredients that are added into, you know, the soup of your teaching. So that I would be mindful of that going in. And look, and have fun. It's exciting, man. Like you did it. You got out of college and you're finally teaching, and now you get to go in there and like help kids and like and live this dream that you've been like just reading about in textbooks and doing in student teaching and stuff like that. Like now it's your class, and I think make the most out of it. Get excited. And remember, let me give you one more piece of advice. Right now, this is for every teacher out there, right? Every teacher. This year, you and some child in the world have been slowly making your way towards one another, right? They were born in a certain place and time. They live in a certain neighborhood. They were born to certain parents and live at a certain address. And you got this job, and like now you're inching yourself closer and closer and closer to one another. So when you get nervous, one of the things I like to do to myself a month in or 6 months into the school year is think, why am I here? Like for what child am I like, and this might be a little too woo-woo for you, but go with it with me anyway. Even if it's luck, you and this kid met, and now you have the opportunity to help them through something, help them grow, help them learn, help them get excited about education, whatever it is. And that is something that like I remind myself of every year, that every year there's a group of students that I'm like, yes, this is why I'm here. Whether that's, and if you watch my videos, whether it's Cephas or Joe or Cheesesteak or DJ Dirty Kev or Danzler or Romina, like they are kids that I worked myself towards, and they worked towards me their whole lives. And then we met, and then it's like, bam, then it's party time. Molly is asking, hi, everyone. This will be my first year with a co-teacher in high school sped bio. First of all, getting a co-teacher in special education or for bio is like unheard of. So congratulations. I'm a content teacher and the co-teacher is sped. Don't know who the co-teacher is yet. Any advice? I would say this. It can be really hard to have a co-teacher. I have a co-teacher that I've had for the last year and a half, Ed, and Ed is awesome. He's like just a really great human being. He really cares about the students. He really cares about whether they do well. He loves the content area. Like he gets stoked to talk about Shakespeare and literature and poetry and stuff. But we're in some ways very, very different. Like the way I run a classroom is different than how he would run a classroom. So it really takes partnering and kind of learning how to pick your battle. It's not like being married to somebody, but like it's like learning how to sort of pick your battles and figure out what your non-negotiables are. And then maybe have that conversation with them and then revisit it often. The biggest thing, right? This is the biggest piece of advice you can take away from this. Your success in that class is largely going to be based on your ability to have uncomfortable conversations, to sit down and say, you're doing this thing and it's really bothering me, or I think it's really working against the student's success, or I don't even know if you noted that you were doing it. And not in an accusatory way, just talking to someone, just speaking to them and saying like, hey, I'm noticing this is happening and like, it shouldn't be, or I have an issue with it, or can we talk about whether this is the right move or not? That really helps the class like become better. Scar tissue is always stronger than regular tissue. And I don't really know that for a fact because I'm not a doctor, but I can only assume because I've never had a cut on a scar in my life. And even though I don't really have that many scars, this is not really a good metaphor, but I'm going with it anyway, right? So be mindful of that. And I would suggest also, if you go to the Real Rap with Reynolds Teacher Talk group on Facebook, you might find other people that are in like the same exact position that you're in, and you might be able to share stories and kind of like grow together as the first year is getting started. So best luck to you. That sounds awesome. Dude, you don't have a question on there.
I do. It's
Dude,
this one.
Dude, I answered Molly's question.
Someone
This can mean only one thing.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it. Eric Johnson is saying, is co-teaching really that common? Do you share a classroom and everything? So Eric, my co-teacher, Ed, doesn't just co-teach with me. He's in 2 classes with me because there's something, I forget what the number is, but like if a certain number of your students in your population, in your classroom population have IEPs, then there needs to be a co-teacher in the class. I believe that's the rule. And so I have other classes, 3 other classes, in fact, that he is not a part of because they are what is called like a regular ed class. And so he comes in, and I think it's awesome. It's a great model because it allows you to not just like, you have a first meet. You have someone that you're doing the work with that can help a particular student. Sit down with someone that really needs that at the moment. And that helps a lot. But then he's in 2 other classes during the day as well. So he's like all over the building doing stuff. And that makes it a little bit tricky because like he has to know content in all the other classes. And although we're co-teaching, we don't really co-plan that much because, you know, I want to be mindful of the fact that like he's teaching in other classes and not just with me all day. Scott Ordway. I don't know why that was hard to say because it's really not, Scott. Sorry. Hey, CJ, I have only ever taught in a small private school. This year I will be teaching in a Title I public school. How do you handle such a different atmosphere or kids not listening and not working? So, Scott, I will say on the opposite end of that, my very good friend Randy Rebai just came out with a new book called The Patron Saints of Nothing, and everybody should go buy it. He went from teaching Title I his whole life, came to New Jersey just like me, West Philly just like me. We were in the same school in West Philly. Then he went to some private school, like in like the Stanford, like near Stanford University in California. And he was like, your lessons are just done faster. Like, or as soon as you start talking, kids are just quiet and listening to you. Like everyone goes home and does their homework. Like it was just a totally different environment. And he likes to remind me that they have a barista at their school that makes coffee for the teachers. And sometimes he gets to school late and he misses the barista. Well, Randy, you can kiss my ass. So I think the bottom line is, look, it's not that the kids are any worse. It's that the school, like, a lot of times private schools are really successful, maybe because like the students were kind of like raised in a different environment, or they come in kind of like, you know, like their parents all went to that school. Whatever their reason is for being like more attentive is what it is. But it doesn't mean that they need you any less. Like, I think Title I school kids are just kind of like have more out loud lives than a lot of like private school students do. So I would say, what is the need that you're going to meet when you get there? Like, kids that act out in class often act out for a reason, but you can sort of like, and this sounds like you're a dog trainer or something like that, but you kind of train kids to not do that, to know that their voice is valuable, so they don't have to call out, to know that they are important, so they don't have to like create a ruckus in class to get attention, because you will care for them anyway. And I would not trade where I teach and the type of school that I teach in for anything else. Like, I would never consider going to another school instead of this model, because I really feel like what you're allowed to do is help students that are on the fringe know that they are important, know that their story is important, and find success in ways that maybe they hadn't considered before. Right? It doesn't make you a savior or like the be all end all in a child's life, but it does help you to help a kid like course correct. It does help you. It does help for the students to know that you are there with them, that you can talk to them like people and not like they're just kids and like talk down to them, but find out their interests, find out what they're interested in. But I would say more than anything, right, especially in Title I schools, is to stick around. Too many people teach in Title I schools for 1 or 2 years and then they split. And maybe some of them shouldn't have taught there to begin with. And that's not a judgment call, but that's like something they have to decide on their own. And it's no judgment on that, right? Like you don't want to teach there anymore. It's not the type of school for you. I can completely understand that. But if you feel like it's a fit for you, sticking around is the greatest thing that you can do. And that's how you'll find the most success, because you are a constant in the life of a child that maybe does not have a lot of consistency otherwise. So just showing up every day will really kind of like win you points, and you will have more respect and love thrown your way than you ever thought possible. So like, best of luck to you, and just know that like it's the same stuff. It's just like getting to know those particular students that live in that particular type of neighborhood and go to that particular type of school, whatever that is. That's just best practice also. So like, if I was teaching in Beverly Hills, I would drive the streets of Beverly Hills. I'd get to know the scene. I'd want to know what's going on. If I was teaching in Compton, I'd do the same thing. I'd drive around. I'd stop at corner stores and like get to know the culture and the people and the food and stuff. It's just part of being a good teacher, is knowing the students and knowing where they come from. Samira, I apologize. I'm not really good. I feel like I have to do this to everyone all the time. It's vowels. They mess me up. Mm-hmm. Samira, I believe that's the correct name. How do I control the villain students that sometimes use violent physical violence against their classmates? I would say, geez, there's 100 things I can say to this. I think students that are violent, that's coming from somewhere. It's coming from a place where like they've never learned how to really deal with how they feel, with their struggles, with things that are going on in their life. And a lot of times they don't even know the things that are going on in their life are wrong or bad, right? Like they like suffering like physical, emotional abuse is like something that kids just think is normal. And so they act out because of it. I think it comes down to you and your community of teachers, not always just you by yourself, sitting down with that student and helping them work through what it is that they're feeling. And you don't have to have an answer for everything, but what you do have to have is attention, because your attention is far more important than your advice. Just sitting down with a student, just giving them a space to talk about and communicate what's going on in their lives is really, really important. I'm not going to call any one student. I was going to tell you a story, but I don't want to put the student out there. But this story will be in the book. I've had great, did you like that plug? I've had great success with having lunch with my students. whether it's a couple of them or whether it's a lot of them. Sometimes like 30 kids in my room, and creating a safe space where the student that is creating, like, is causing physical harm to other students, if they're invited in, they have to know how to act. They have to know that they can be a part of this community also, but you can't be like wild now in class and acting a fool. And if that doesn't work, I would find out who their teacher was last year that they really connected with. Or maybe there's a coach that they connect with. Maybe there's a teacher this year that they really connect with, and sit down with the child and with that teacher and see if you can come up with some sort of solution or plan together. And then you're acting as a community of educators, like I said, instead of like just the one person that's stuck feeling like they have to figure it out, and knowing that it's not up to you. Like, and so that's what I would try to do kind of first in that situation. Kathy Toner is asking, starting my first year teaching older high school students after a year of student teaching 8th and 9th graders. First year.
Oh, next question. Sorry.
Oh, so, okay. So I'm wondering about independent reading. How do you assess high school independent reading when students are all reading different books? Book reports seem a bit young for grades 10 and 11, but I'd love to let them choose reading outside of the required books. So, Kathy, look, I don't know how much your school is going to like my answer, but I think students should be allowed to read just to read without any assessment at the end of it. And my school does not like this all the time either, but this is how I roll it out in my class. Every Wednesday is a day when we just read in class, right? There's other reading times during the week that are kind of like fit in where I can fit them in, but Wednesday's just for reading. When we go in the class, everyone knows that they have to have their independent reading book. Their independent reading book can be any book in the world so long as it's about on grade level. And what I mean by that is I don't have 9th graders reading like Diary of a Wimpy Kid. But if it's something that's like a little bit below the reading level, like I can live with that. And if you want to find out the reading level of a book, you can just look it up online, and Amazon a lot of times has it in like their description of the book at the bottom of the page anyway. So then I bring in a book as well. I tell them what I'm reading. This is what I'm reading right now. This is what I'm super excited about. This is something that's awesome that's happening in the book, and this is what I'm learning. Then I tell them what's going to happen in my book today, and I'm really excited. Like, I don't know if this character is going to do this, or I'm reading a book about business, and I'm wondering what they're going to say about this. And I read with them. I put myself strategically near students that I know are generally distracted or cause a problem in class. I let students read wherever they want in the room. They can lay on the floor. They can sit on the windowsill. They can lay on the couch, whatever they want to do. Then while sitting with them, we're just all reading together. Anytime I've ever tried to get other work done during that time, I have less commitment from students in that reading. But when I'm not doing that, when I'm sitting there reading with them, I have far more sort of like compliance, and the kids are really on point in doing what I need them to be doing. At the end of that time, I say, yo, wait, check it. I got to tell you what happened in my book. First of all, this guy is saying this, or this character ended up being this person's dad, whatever it is, and getting stoked about it. Did anyone else today have a moment where you were like, what? Like something happened in your book that you couldn't believe? Does anyone have a book that they think really mirrors their life or reminds them of another movie that they read? Like finding questions that students can answer that's not like, hey, what happened in your book today? Or did this character, do you think he's the protagonist or antagonist? Like not just like sort of comprehension questions, but you're trying to connect it to something deeper. What this does is it makes kids actually engage in their books and builds a culture in your classroom where students are excited and talking about books. And then that's it. When you're done the book, we're done. Like you trade it in, you get a new book. You have to finish every single book. And if I think someone's messing around, they're not really finishing a book or something like that, I might ask them some questions. But like what I want is to build a culture of kids that love to read and not are like reading so they can pass a test or something. And if I think about any of my favorite books, and this is the last point I'm going to make on this, any of my favorite books I've ever loved in my life, if I had to take a test after I read Into the Wild or Walden or The Beach or the autobiography of Malcolm X, like it just would not have been the same. It's like if you were going to a movie and someone was going to quiz you afterwards, you're too busy thinking about what the hell's the quiz going to be about and not just getting wrapped up in the story and the language and the magic of the book. And so that's kind of how I roll that out. Janet Roberts is asking, hi, my biggest obstacle is passing GRE exams and praxis teaching administration exams for an alternative master's program. Any advice on getting over test anxieties? I still have yet to pass them. So, Janet, I took this test a very long time ago, and I don't have an answer for you. But alas, somebody here is going to have an answer for you. So if somebody can just find Janet's name, do the @Janet thing, speak her name out on there, and give her examples of like, what do you do when you're stressing about tests, or how did you best practice for the GRE or the praxis test? Like, were there study groups? Were there texts that you use? Were there online resources? And Janet, I would also say, not to throw too much like publicity towards the Facebook page, but like the Facebook page is real people that are just teachers, educators, and students in the space of education that are trying to do the same thing. I'm sure if you left your question in there, you get like 20 answers on it or something like that. Because, Richard Voicer is going to answer.
And to know that everybody fails. You failed.
I failed the practice. That's a good thing to bring up. Was it the practice?
I don't know. You failed one of them like twice, I think, and you were stressing.
No, I didn't. You better fall back. I did not do it twice.
All I know is he stressed also.
One time.
I think it's normal.
And part of that was you do. There's a lot. You pay a lot of money for it, and you're trying to figure that out.
Terrible.
The first time I took it, I passed. And then the second for praxis 2, I failed. But part of that was because we were going to Puerto Rico that day for like 2 weeks to go surfing and exploring and stuff like that. So I just wanted to get out of Philadelphia. But I did fail that second test, and I felt stupid as hell because I didn't know like a lot of the books that were referenced in there and stuff because it was the English one. So like it was tricky and it sucked. And then I just, like a lot of things in my life, I got by the skin of my teeth, which is a weird thing to say because I don't think teeth have skin on them.
Shut up.
Vanna Banana, I haven't heard that name in a while, I feel like. Vanna Banana, welcome back to the feed. Where's the best place to get decoration inspiration for classrooms? Vanna, I do not, look, I mean, I teach high school, right? Like if I was going to teach elementary school, I would probably just look on Pinterest or Instagram because those people have really great ideas. For me, I look at creators that I like. So there's a guy named Mac Primo that has like a really incredible looking studio space that I like. Or Casey Neistat, or who's my other homie that I like? The children's book writer. What is his name?
Oliver Jeffers.
Oliver Jeffers space. Probably my biggest source of inspiration ever, though, in my classroom is the store Anthropology. I go on Instagram or on like the web and just type in anthropology displays, and I just steal ideas from Anthropology, and that's where I get it. So these ideas are not original coming at you. They are stuff that I've stolen from other places or taken ideas and formatted them to fit like what I want it to look like. But I think that is. I just look for stuff online that I think is going to look inspiring. It's going to get kids excited about walking into my class, and it's going to make my class look unlike any other class they've ever been in. So that would be my answer. What you got there, dude?
Mm-hmm.
Rebecca Wood is asking, gosh.
Would you like some water?
I would like some water. I'm verklempt. Rebecca Wood is asking, it's crazy hot sun. It's a crazy hot Sunday. It is hot as hell outside. I ran early this morning. I was like, it's like so hot that I'll go running and come home and get a shower, and I'm still sweating after I get out of the shower, even though I take cold showers after I run outside. How do you deal with parents who care more about grades than learning? How do you get students to take their responsibility instead of parents yelling at teachers? This is tricky because I don't think you can change parents. It is a game that is beyond you. And I think, in the times that I've kind of won in this situation, and whenever I say win, I'm not saying like I like duped someone or I came out on top. It's like I came to an understanding with an individual and it worked out for everybody. I build relationships with my students so I don't have to build relationships with parents. I don't like calling home. I hate calling home. It's super awkward. It's weird. It's like fake. Like parents say things all the time like, that happened in class. Don't worry. It'll never happen again. I don't know why everyone sounds like Lego Batman in my head, but it is. And I feel like on a level, it's with high schoolers, it's like telling. And there's a culture in my school that is like against ratting. And so I'll call him if I need to, but really what I want to do is create students that are self-advocates. And so I try to handle stuff with my students and not handle it with their parents and as little as possible deal with administration because I want to handle it in-house, right? It's nothing wrong with going to admin. I go to my vice principal or the dean quite often, but like if I can, I want to handle it in-house. And I think when you do that, you are building a relationship with the student and then they're not telling on you. They're not going to their parent about what you did, or they're sticking up for you in the parent meeting. Like, no, this is my fault. Reynolds did try and help me. He did offer extra credit. He did offer extra time or tutoring services. And I think that helps a lot. The other thing is making it abundantly clear how open you are for help. Every parent knows I'm there early every single day. I open my classroom at lunch for students every single day. If someone needs help, if they just need a place to be, if they need a quiet place to study, if they have a question, there's a populated room filled with students that they can come and get help in. And the good thing about it being populated is it's not like, it's all weird. Reynolds is in there eating like his weird green smoothie that his wife made him and almonds and like it's dark and like it's not like a weird space. It's like filled with kids that are like doing the same thing and it's a really chill spot. So you can come in and get help during that time. I'm also available after school almost every single day. I also allow students to retake any test. So on Fridays, that's my days for assessments. Every Friday, you take a test. By Monday, I have your grade. You have till the end of the day on Tuesday to retake that assessment, and unless it's told to you otherwise that like there won't be a retest for that. But the students have to come in on their own time, before school, during lunch, or after school. And just letting parents know that, like even at a meeting where they're pissed as hell and they like want to like be like, you're not trying to help my kid, that kind of a thing. It's like, well, let me tell you what I do offer all the students. You know this, your student knows this. Let me remind you. And then I talk about, the last thing I want to say about this is talk about, well, look, going forward, right? So we can get mad about what happened. We can get mad about what's going on now. But in the future, going forward, moving into the rest of this year, what is this going to look like? Let's say your student comes in every Wednesday after school and gets tutoring from you. Let's say I'm letting you know right now that on Fridays, if they don't do well on an assessment, that grade will be in there by Friday night. You'll know if they didn't do well. They can come see me about it on Monday. I can help them with whatever they need help on, and they have Tuesday to retake the assessment. And then that's how you move forward is by letting them know what in which ways you're willing to help, and then making a plan going forward that's going to help the student. And who can argue about that? That's like, you did this awful thing. Okay, I apologize. This is what I was trying to do, and here's how we're going to, find success in the future. It's like everybody wins. It's a lot of winning stuff, man. Drink some water. Thanks. Because I am verklempt. Let me put it over here and hope that a toy or some hot glue gun glue doesn't fall in here.
Yeah, there's so much glue all over our table. I'm just sitting here picking it off.
I wish there was maybe we should make a comment section for the book. When the book comes out, maybe we could have some online platform where people could ask questions or like ask. No?
I don't know.
You don't want the people to have their answers? People want answers.
I want to do this one. I want you to read the next question.
All right, I'll read the next question. Brennan Striegel? I think that's right. I'm going with it. That's your new name, Brennan. Brennan is asking advice for a new teacher taking the place of a well-loved teacher. Oh, bro.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one. When I student taught with a guy that was all I could ever hope to be as a teacher. Mr. Z at Winslow Township High School here in New Jersey was the teacher that you couldn't hope to be better than him. And so taking over his class when I was student teaching was daunting because like he lived off his reputation. Students were always in his room getting help, he was caring for them. He was doing literally whatever he could to help students. And to take over for someone like that is daunting because you want to have that also. Here's what I would say. One, you won't be that person. You are a different snowflake than their snowflake. And that's a weird metaphor to make, but I'm sticking with it anyway. But what you can do is grow into that. As a first-year teacher, it's going to take you a while to kind of like find your footholds and to really like figure out how you're going to make this work. But I will tell you, more certainly than anything else I could tell you, is that over time, if you care for students, if you build relationships with students, you can be the well-loved teacher also, but it doesn't just that respect doesn't show up from the jump. Schools have teachers believe a lot of times that there's just some child waiting there. They haven't learned their whole life because they've been waiting for the right teacher. And the fact of the matter is, it's not true. There's been probably tons of good teachers in that kid's life, man. And they're not going to just hand over their respect as soon as you walk in, like, thank God you're here. You really do care about us. You have to earn their trust, their respect, and you have to put the work in on the front end. And so what I'm saying there is, like, I don't mean to be daunting if that's coming off that way. Just know that you have to put the work in on the front end, but I promise you it will pay off. A little bit at first. You'll have like those few students at the end of the first year that you really get down with, that you really made a difference with, and then it will compound over time. And I promise you it will happen, and you could be in that same exact space as well. But don't try to like just like glide into their shoes and like take it from there. It's like, nope, it's a new chapter, right? We're starting something new, but I'm promising you, I'm going to try and be the most awesome teacher I can. And I want this to be the most awesome class that you've ever been in your life. Cheyenne Moore is asking, do you think that a blog following your student teaching into full-time teaching would have an audience? Yeah, Cheyenne, I think everything would have an audience. Like, there's like, what you have to remember with the web is not until I started doing YouTube did it become the World Wide Web. Like, it was really just a way for me to like keep up with people from high school or college or friends or see what my family was up to and stuff. But now, like, even in this feed right here, there's people from all over the country. There's people from all over the world. There's people that chime in on their lunch break from China or live in Germany or the UK right now or South Africa, like, that watch just this live feed. And that is bonkers. It's like, it's crazy that exists. So you having your view on what you think your first year of teaching has been like and what that was like to navigate that, somebody out there is living the same life or about to live the same life that's going to be really, really interested in that, especially if you're open and vulnerable about kind of like the things that you're working through is what's going to make that sort of win. So yeah, absolutely an audience for that. Let me say this while you're coming up with that last thing. It's never endingly amazing to me how many like YouTubers there are that have millions of subscribers in like the most niche areas ever. Like, I create figurines for Dungeons and Dragons figures. I take squishies that kids play with and I repair them and paint them. I make ashtrays. There's like all these folks out there that have these like oddly specific things that they do that blow up and have an audience, because what you're really doing is just letting the rest of the world know that somebody else is out there doing that thing but living it out loud so they can feel a sense of kinship and connection with them.
The interesting thing to me with YouTube is when you think that you are the only one that's interested in something like super specific like that, it's just not true.
Nope. Like when I drop a name and say like, the other day I was quoting David Goggins on Instagram in my story. And there was like a whole bunch of DMs after that were like, oh, I love David Goggins, or it's a great quote, or whatever. And I thought, oh, all right, here I am thinking that like he's like a not as well known kind of dude in the space, but like people were like, nope, I know that too. So I love it.
Interesting.
Elizabeth is also asking, right? Elizabeth, I answered a question from, I think, already.
Yeah.
All right. So just to say, like, it wasn't someone different. Elizabeth is asking, do you suggest anything for socializing with other teachers? Elizabeth, I would say try to be in the same social spaces as other teachers. And I don't mean like staff lounges, like you can win or lose in there. Like, I don't know. Like, sometimes I would love to have like a really crappy, negative, like staff lounge, because I would just want to make it a party and be like, you cannot fight the power. It's like teacher kryptonite. I would say find someone you connect with and then connect with them. Have them over your house for dinner. Go out for drinks. Go out for coffee. Something along those lines. But it only has to be one person at first, and then they are already connected to the rest of the school. So maybe they'll invite you out with other people. But I will say that anytime I've done anything, even stuff I didn't really want to do, like go bowling with people, it just makes for good stories later. And then friendships are largely built on stories. And so like you are connected with people now in a way that you weren't before. And I think that really, really works. And saying thank you. I'm a big proponent of thank you cards. So if someone does something nice, or if it's right before winter break or right before spring break or whatever it is, hey, thanks so much in the beginning of my year, like starting out, I appreciated your help. And I just wanted to say, I'm thankful for you. Peace, your name. And then put it in their school mailbox. Teachers are an underappreciated group. To get appreciation from anyone is like feeds your soul. And so you could be that person that connects with teachers in that way. And then it just puts you on their radar and goes, oh, they really did know that, or they did really appreciate that, or they really are wonderful people. So that's what I would do. Jules G, what's up, Jules? Is saying on an emergency license. What? Okay. On an emergency license to teach high school French. Don't hear that too much. So nervous, but very excited too. Do you send a letter to parents about the class for them to sign? I don't. A lot of teachers do so look, this is going to depend on a couple of things. One, does your school have a policy that you're supposed to do that? Do other teachers at your school find success in doing that? Because it's going to be a lot about like your school's culture and stuff too. I don't, and I don't make parents sign the syllabus because it's just like another thing to keep track of. And to be honest, as a parent, you get so much stuff to sign at the beginning of the year, from like school handbook to the friggin' lunch people are sending you stuff, the nurses sending you stuff, the special education people are sending you stuff, the regular teachers sending you stuff, the gym teachers sending you stuff. Like, it's like, I don't read that stuff. I don't know about you. I've never read a damn thing. I
laugh because you don't read it, but I do because I'm their mom.
I just go, yes. Yeah, sure. Like, what could it possibly be saying? What could they possibly be saying to me that I would be like, wait a minute, what are you talking about?
I know, but you still have to read it. I read it before I sign it.
There's no corn at lunch this year. The kids are going to be outside running, and they need to have sneakers on at gym. Like, it's like,
I know.
It's like whatever. So I don't, but it's not a bad thing to have parents do that, especially when like I have a syllabus I think that looks unlike most other teachers' syllabi. And so it might be cool to like have somebody sign my paper and send it back in, but I don't do that. And so that's I wait for back to school night, and then that's when I like, I'm like a firework. Reynolds, you're a firework. There you go. That happened. You love when I sing. It's like dining room. Oh, never mind. That was stupid. Kathy Toner is asking if you have any time for a second question. Kathy, for you, we do. Bars. I'm starting at a school this year. How would you recommend getting to know the school culture and other teachers? Same answer that I had for that other question. I think just like when you go into a meeting, here's my go-to. Whenever I go into any meeting, PD, anything like that, I am never first, because it's not about having the best seat. It's about having the right seat. I go in and I always survey my surroundings. And my friends that know me know what I'm doing, and they laugh at me because it's like when you go down to our dining hall, which is like where most of our PDs happen, there's like a mezzanine that overlooks it. And I just stand up there and like survey the room and figure out like, where do I want to teach? Because if this thing's going to be funny, I want to sit with people that are going to laugh. If it's going to be serious, I want to sit with people that are going to be serious. If it's about working together as a collaboration, I want to make sure that I'm sitting near people that are not just going to screw around the whole time. It's like high school, man. It's always like high school, but are actually going to get down. And I stay away from all the negative, miserable people. And so it's always about being mindful of that. So being a new teacher in a school is about being mindful of who has great classes, who are all the kids talking about in a way that is uplifting or positive, who seems to be like doing some stuff that you want to be doing, and then just put yourself like in their vicinity, ask some questions, maybe ask to sit in on their class, and then say, hey, if you ever have time, I'd love to like take you out for coffee after school and just talk about like your class or like what you think about the school or whatever, like so I can just try and like do the best job I possibly can this year. And that's how I would handle that situation. Sweatpants Studio, I love You've talked about teacher negativity before, but as ST, I am hearing a lot of negativity towards the profession from my mentors / professors. How do you learn from people who hate their jobs? I think I messed that up. That's a really great question. So I've had folks get mentored by teachers at their own school that are like, I didn't really want to mentor you. I don't want to do it, but they made me, so now I'm doing it. And in some of those occasions, I've gotten teachers, like, instead of like, because a lot of times teachers have to pay their own schools to get mentored. And I'm like, well, how about I just mentor you and then we just do it that way instead. And then your school can just pay me and they don't have to pay somebody that's a miserable old curmudgeon. But in colleges, I think it's like, I would dive into that a little bit. I would ask professors, like, well, what made you like this way, right? It's like, not like you have to become that way either, but like, what made you have such a, like, what was so much better before than it is now? Because a lot of times that's bullshit. It's like, people think that, like, you know, the good old days were like the good old days when they were in fact not for very many people. So it's like asking teachers to kind of like dive into that or dig into that a little bit so that you can find out what's going on in them. And I think that might just help. Cause you know, the fact of the matter is that you have to stay in that class. You can't leave it probably. You can't just transfer to another one. But you'll work with a lot of teachers also probably in your career that like are just burnt out. They're just done with it. They just don't want to do it anymore. And so to me, like Tim Ferriss says, it's all about like surrounding yourself with the right people. Because Tim Ferriss says that you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. And I think just being mindful of that and being around good people all the time is the best move that you can have.
We'll take this one and one more.
Okay. MVD is asking, I'm already committed to one position this year. However, a position just opened up for 4th grade, which is my dream. I have not signed the contract yet. Should I still apply for the 4th grade position? Yes. I had a job before I took my first job. It was in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, at a really nice school.
Now, wait a minute. Does this make a difference? Because I've read further down in the comments that it's with the same school.
Oh.
It's in the same school.
I don't know. Like,
I would say go to the person whoever does the hiring. I guess it's your principal, and say, like, I know I've agreed to this, but this is really my dream.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
That's a wife. Good job, not so secret wife. If you didn't hear her, she's suggesting that like you go to the person that does the hiring, the person that makes those decisions, and ask them, like, is this gonna mess you up if I do this? Like, because what you want to do is be like a contributing member of the community and not someone that's like just looking out for themselves. Although I know the difference. Like, it's not like it's not just all about you, but if you can have your dream situation, then you're going to teach better in that situation. So I would just look into it and ask and say, hey, I'm just to ask, I'm wondering if this is a possibility, because then that position would be filled. And if you're still hiring for someone anyway, like, that job's still open. So just hire for that one and let me take this thing. And so that's what I would do. Then last question.
No, sorry. Keep going.
Okay. Sterling Simmons is asking, so I'm going to be a teacher assistant after being a classroom teacher for 4 years. It has been the roughest. Wait, I'm so not good at reading sometimes.
You're too fast.
Well, someone was spelled wrong. Oh. So it wasn't even my fault. It was Sterling's fault. Messed up. It was a rough last year in teaching, and it shot my confidence. Any advice for regaining confidence and moving forward? Sterling, I think. So
they're moving from a classroom teacher to an aide?
To a teaching assistant in the classroom.
Wow.
How do you get your confidence back again? I think your confidence in teaching comes from other things, right? What happens in the classroom is not what fills my soul, is not what feeds me, like on a deeper level. I wake up every morning, I pray, I meditate, I envision my day, and I practice gratitude every single morning. I then run every single morning, and sometimes run at night instead of the morning. I don't run twice a day because that's for, athletes or something like that. but I make sure that I do non-negotiable things. My wife's really good at pushing me to do this stuff too, like making sure like I get a massage or go out for drinks with friends, or I have people over, or I'm hanging out, or I'm spending time with my family. Like doing those sorts of things put me in the best possible mindset when I go into the classroom, so that I'm not getting crushed as easily. So like if the school year is hard, but I have really great stuff going on outside of school, they balance one another better instead of focusing on school. Here's the kicker is what I'm learning. It's something I'm actually like working through in my life right now. Your whole life is filled with variables that you have zero control over, right? But what you can control is what you feed your body and what you feed your mind. And although that sounds like a little bit woo-woo also, but like if I am being mindful of like the kind of books that I'm reading, the kind of podcasts I'm listening to, the kind of music that I'm listening to, like the kind of content on television or YouTube that I'm putting into me, like that is going to put me in a different space than putting like negative stuff in. And how am I feeding myself? Like, am I exercising? Am I eating at least mostly right? Because I don't eat all the way right, but I get about through 2/3 of my day eating just good stuff. That is giving me energy. It changes my mindset. It has an effect on my mood. Like doing those sorts of things really have an impact. So maybe don't focus on your success at school so much. Focus on being a healthier and better person in general. And I promise you that bleeds over into your school life. I feel like that was a pretty good answer.
Yeah, I agree.
Good job, self. What do you got? Do you want me to sing a song? Because it's dead air right now.
I mean, if you really want to.
I'm going to just say,
I don't really know.
I believe the children are future. Teach them well. Brahmani Ravi? I feel like I said that right.
It would be a miracle.
It would be a miracle because I messed up everyone's name, which is why every student has a nickname at school. Don't know if I should go in the HR world or become a guidance counselor. Can you help me decide? So look, to me, HR is logistics. Guidance counselor world is what's probably the most attractive. Even though, look, we have a good guidance counselor at our school, but guidance counselors as a whole, I feel like get a really bad name because they're guidance counselors. I don't know. But I think that's an interesting space to move into to really affect positive change, right? You're not dealing with lessons or anything like that. You're meeting students who have needs that are beyond the capabilities of teachers a lot of times, and they have to come to you. Like you are the person they go to. And so I think to me, it comes down to like, do you like the logistical piece of like figuring out budgeting or paperwork and stuff like that, or meeting with student needs? And to be honest, HR is dealing with a lot of teacher needs also. And so like, it's like, which one of those to you is more attractive? What I would do for real is contact at your local school or maybe the school you grew up going to, someone in HR and someone in guidance, and see if you can like sort of shadow them for the day and see like, do they like what they do? What do they like about it? What do they not like about it? What does their typical day sort of look like? That might give you a better sense of like whether or not that's something that you want to go into.
Okay, last question.
Okay, last question. And if you have a question that we didn't answer, I would implore you to go onto the Rap With Reynolds Facebook group and you can ask it there. And there's going to be tons of people. Or you can just tune in next week at 5 p.m. to have your question answered here.
We go in order, so get them quick.
Yeah, we do go in order. And we try not to miss anyone's question, even if it's something I've asked or answered a million times before, because I realize this isn't about me. It's about all of you trying to like help you to get ready for the next week. And then also while I'm doing this, if anyone on the side sees a question that was unanswered, like try and shoot some love that person's way. That would be awesome. I appreciate it. Rabia Ozkan, I have 2 questions, or not 2 questions. First of all, that's a fascinating name. Second, how do you get those double dots over the O? I wouldn't even know how to do that.
Oh, we were just talking about
I know, because Pock Full Primary, her last name has a apostrophe kind of a thing. Yeah, Michelle Ferre. She said it rhymes with Ferre.
Oh, that's right.
Because I called her Fury or something like that. but then I just think that like little things like that are like make names look cool, and also is like
I know, but she said she used to like copy and paste.
I know her process to do that.
The
is
accent, but that does not make it easy.
Hi, I hope that you're all right. What do you suggest for volume of voice when I'm teaching? Sadly, my voice sounds so high pitched and a little bit crackling. What should I do? Look, this is a really good question.
Funny that you asked that, because Matt Anderson also asked, what do you do to build confidence in your voice? For example, being front and center and presenting info. I
think my voice has gotten louder since I started teaching. Like I wonder if that's like a muscle.
I think that you've exercised it. That would be my,
because when you see me like in a video, if I have a video with another student, right, and that student is like a pretty loud dude, my voice always catches on the microphone. Those dudes sound like they're mumbling half the time, right? They're just like, oh, it's like I sound like the friggin' ringleader or something like that at the circus. So I think there's a couple of things. One, getting kids to be quiet while you're talking is going to help. And to do that, I think there's a lot of like nonverbal cues that you can get kids to be quiet. So I always count down from 4, not even 5. You don't even get 5 seconds. You don't need 5 seconds. You only need 4. 3. That's it. I need everyone quiet. Other teachers who had, Too Cool for Middle School has a doorbell in her classroom, a wireless doorbell that she pushes it and then it dings, and that's how the kids know to be quiet. And that is actually
someone else said
really
like
brilliant.
Get a cheerleader, like get a megaphone.
You could get a megaphone, like the cone ones, like from the dollar store. They have them. Or I bought an actual megaphone at the dollar or at Kohl's for like $8 one Christmas. It was on sale, and I use it all the time when it's really loud. When we're doing like activities and stuff like that, that's how I do it. Or sometimes I get a kid to address the class. I'll be like, yo, can you get me some attention here? And they're not allowed to be belligerent. They're not allowed to curse anyone. They can't be like, screaming obscenities in my classroom. But sometimes their voices are just louder, and it helps. And over time, the students will know that. Or I say, look, I'm old, man. I just play into this. I'm old, and I can't be this loud all the time, guys. Seriously, like you're giving me more white hair. So I think it's playing to that, meaning like, everyone, my voice is not loud. So stop making me yell all the time, because it sounds like, like a little girl. I don't know. I was going to say someone being strangled. And then I realized I was going to talk about a little girl. And I was like, these two things are bad. Like, I want to say that. But that's what I would do, is like, I would maybe use a megaphone, use nonverbal cues. And there's tons of that stuff on the internet. You can find like different nonverbal cues, or just let the kids know, like, yo, I care about you. I just got to say this one quick thing. So please be quiet, because I don't like yelling. It's terrible.
Hot for Teaching says, I use a cowbell.
Of course she does. Of course, she's quickly becoming one of my favorite people. I use a cowbell because she's got a fever, and the only cure is more cowbell.
We better end it there.
There it is. That's the end. So look, if you have any other questions, please check out the Facebook group. If this is, I'm not trying to like just build business for myself, but if you honestly feel like you need more help as the school year is getting ready, and as you're getting like, you're starting your first year or your 50th year, and if you're teaching 50 years, you don't need any help with anything. Please reach out. You can go to my website, realrapwithreynolds.com. You can sign up for mentoring sessions there. And they meet twice a week for a half hour, an hour, whatever you feel is needed by you. And I help in every possible way that I can, from helping you plan your lessons to helping you deal with problem students or administration and all the kind of stuff we talk about on here. But it's one-on-one basis with you through a Skype call. And if that's useful to you, please just let me know. And that's it, right? Yeah. All right, I'm going to go finish the book now and have it sent to the editor tomorrow. And hopefully when I come on here next week, I'll be talking about it and I'll have more information. That's it, everybody. Awkward ending. Peace. Awkward ending. Got to hit all the stuff. Hitting these buttons, and it's never enough.